One Piece chapter 1006. Now this was a very good chapter. I enjoyed this chapter from the beginning to the end because I felt like every page has something meaningful towards some sort of setup for future events or just overall plot progression. And let's not also forget about the amazing fight that we saw between the commanders in this chapter, because that was honestly amazing. It's honestly about time that we see Marco going full throttle, right? Because even though we saw him in Marineford, we didn't really delve too much into his abilities and how powerful he can be. Granted, he went up against the admirals, but nothing substantial was done or shown there, and for the most part Marineford never really delved into actual battles, but more so individual clashes that lasted for a few seconds to a couple of minutes, and even then most of it wasn't even shown to the reader. But in this case, we're seeing how powerful Marco really is, and again, Marco is really strong. That should be a given, right? Now before we head into this chapter, let's start from the beginning. Now the chapter starts off with Sanji's side of things, as well as Momonosuke and Yamato, given that they seem to be very close to each other, as Sanji was able to hear them. Now for the most part, the Beast Pirates just seem to be chasing Yamato for the time being, given that Momo is kind of a key figure in all of this. Interestingly enough, following the chain of events that transpired in the last chapter when Yamato told Momo that he should hide in her clothes, we come to find out that that actually took place. Surprisingly, I wasn't exactly sure if that was something Oda was going to follow through, given that that scene was very comedic. But again, it makes perfect sense given Momonosuke's perverted nature. So this was a chance that Oda was not going to miss. And so we come to find out that Momonosuke is hiding behind Yamato's kimono, and you can see that smirk on his face, right? That smirk that he always gives to Sanji and Brook, right? It's almost like he's happy, but also troubled by the fact that he's getting chased by people that want to kill him. So he's kind of in a weird state of mind right now. Now, surprisingly, one of the gifters with the eye symbol was able to detect Momo within Yamato's clothes. And again, it sort of reminded me of how the pacifistas identify people. But I do wonder if these guys are actually cyborgs as well, or is it just the animal counterparts that are cyborgs? That's something I feel like Oda should probably address in the next coming chapters, right? Now we move on to Sanji's side of things, in which he should be currently on his way to the storeroom in order to help out the scabbards that are basically injured to the max, right? But again, given how chaotic everything's been, he's a bit undecisive as to where he's needed the most, in which he then chooses to go to a direction that we're not aware of yet. We're not sure where Sanji is heading towards right now. Now, judging from the last chapter, it seems like Oda was making it seem like he was going to meet up with Jack with the possibility of a battle happening, but now it does seem like Sanji may go somewhere else, completely unrelated. Not sure where, but we know that Sanji is going to have his moment in this arc, so I think he's going to be in key places that is going to help the alliance in the overall success of this battle, right? Think of Mr. Prince, right? But I think it makes more sense that he should be heading towards the storeroom, because Jack would most definitely kill the scabbards that are injured there if no one interferes, right? So we'll see how Sanji gets his high back, right? Now we get a brief scene with Perospero, Wanda, and Carrot, in which we come to find out that Perospero was able to defeat both Carrot and Wanda, but he mentioned here that he was only capable of doing so because they ran out of Sulong. Again, Perospero has been a very wild card in all of this, and it seems like his involvement here is just going to get deeper and deeper. Now, moving forward, I'm not sure how Carrot's going to come into play, even though she feels like she's responsible for taking out Perospero because of the events of Whole Cake with Pedro and his death. So I'm not sure if that's going to come into play again, unless the moon gets revealed once again and then she gets back up. But again, I don't see that happening anytime soon, just because I feel like Perospero seems to have a very active role in terms of how things are going to play out moving forward, especially when it comes to the top brass of the top fighters in this battle, because it seems like he wants Big Mom to come out on top of everyone, including Kaido, of course. So we'll see what Oda does with Carrot moving forward, but in terms of Perospero, he's going to be an issue for the Alliance. We then move on to the live floor, in which the majority of the battle against the Beast Pirates and the Alliance is taking place, and of course, as with the progression of time, the more that a lot of people were turning into the Ice Demons, even with the help that Marco was able to do. And so we're seeing that people's stamina are starting to give out. We see that most of the samurai are unable to resist the virus at this point in time and are basically in transition to become full ice demons. So basically they have two options. You either die of exhaustion or you get taken over by the ice demon, which would lead to more people getting killed and getting infected by the virus. Now I will say that it's pretty impressive that Chopper in his condition and state of mind is capable of making the antibodies. I feel like if that was like a regular Joe, that person would be over over at this point, right? And so I thought that was really impressive from Chopper. And again, we come to find out that the two individuals that are protecting Chopper are X-Drake and the other being Hyogoro of the Flower. Now, Hyogoro is a bit different this time, in which he's able to revert back to his prime form due to the effects of the Ice Demon, again, which kind of reminds me of the life return that we see with the CP9, and also that technique, that one technique that Lao Ji had as well. But it was explained here that due to the nature of the virus, since it's able to give one a boost in physical strength, it sort of awakened Hyogoro's dormant strength. Again, it makes a lot of sense, but instead of turning berserk, he's able to resist the effects of him losing his mind. And I'm not gonna lie, Hyogoro was a beast in this chapter, right? This is the coolest he's ever been. Panel that we see with him and X-Drake standing guard was pretty cool. Now, we do see that time is ticking for him and is very close to completely turning, and so he demands that he should be killed before he turns completely. Now, the question really comes down to, is Hyogoro going to die? Now, I'm not sure, but I'm leaning towards him not dying because of Oda's track record, but I feel like it's still a possibility because Hyogoro is one of the much older characters involved with Oden and his backstory, and given that Yasu died, which was one of the other older characters, I think it's a possibility that Hyogoro will die here as well. We have to remember that this is war, and by default there should be casualties on both sides, and Hyogoro dying here kind of makes a lot of sense, but I'm not sure if that's the route Oda is going to go with, and I'm even more skeptical about it since that was the break off point of the chapter. Oda tends to do this thing where he makes us believe that one thing is going to happen at the end of the chapter, but then when the next chapter comes out, it doesn't really follow through. But again, I wouldn't mind if Hyogoro dies here, as that would sort of increase the weight of this battle because there's going to be sacrifices along the way. Now, moving on to the more anticipated part of the chapter, and I have to say that Marco really showed off in this scene because not only is he fighting another first commander, but he's also fighting a second commander as well. So he's pretty much in a 2v1 against commanders. Not only that, he's also dominating in this battle, as well as potentially healing some of the people turning into ice demons as well. Again, I've said this before, but Marco's ability is one of the most powerful devil fruits in the series, and we're seeing that play part here. We also see that physically he's very powerful as well. I think him sending the admirals flying in Marineford has been proof of that, and there's some hints of him possibly using Ryo as well, because he did this one attack on Queen in which Queen comments that the attack was like a shockwave, which shares some semblance to Ryo because Queen was bleeding from that attack. And again, Queen's devil fruit is really durable, right? The Brachiosaurus. Again, I'm not surprised if Marco has advanced armaments. It actually makes a lot of sense that he does because it fits his fighting style and his devil fruit. Since he's a zone user and he's for the most part a physical fighter, it makes sense that he would specialize in armament hockey. Now, during Marco's domination in this battle, I should note that King is the only one actively making progress on the losing spectrum of it. We saw that he was able to cut off one of Marco's wings, and we see that the flames doesn't regenerate as fast as they should. So it does seem like Marco is reaching his limit, and if I remember correctly, Oda did mention in the SBS that Marco's regeneration does have a limit, so extended fights can wear him down, and I think that's what we're seeing here. And for the most part, when it comes to King and Queen, they aren't going all out either, as they have yet to bring out their hybrid form, so it's just them either being in full transformation or base form. And this is actually more so the case for King because he seems to be very capable in base form, so when he gets into that hybrid form, I'm actually looking forward to how much stronger he's going to become, because he does have some sort of skill set in his base form being a swordsman, right? But again, that doesn't really take away from what Marco showed in this chapter, because this is the first time that we're seeing a commander dominate multiple commanders. I think the only other person to do that was probably the admirals, and that was Akainu during Marineford, right? Again, I've always had Marco being stronger than King individually, definitely stronger than Queen, but I do still think that if Marco and King were to fight, it's definitely going to be an extreme difficult fight between the two, definitely giving the edge to Marco though. Now, things might not end up well for Marco in the next coming chapters, because we see that Perisparrow is going to get involved in this battle against a somewhat exhausted Marco, so Marco might get taken out very soon because he's obviously the biggest problem for the commanders right now. So I'm definitely interested to see where this is leading towards, and I kind of want to see more of King, and I think King will do something that will eventually decide Marco's defeat or loss, right? And I think we also need more exposition on him in terms of what his race is, as Oda teased that in the earlier portions of Wano. So I'm kind of looking forward to what King has to offer. So far, he hasn't done anything major, and we haven't learned anything about him except that he's sort of the leading leading commander in all of this when Kaido isn't around. So definitely looking forward to that. But again, this was a very enjoyable chapter. We had a lot of progression, a lot of great moments, and it was definitely about time that we see Marco show off. I'm guessing the next chapter might be Marco losing or being on the losing side, and then we might deviate to Sanji to see what he's doing and what's going on in that storeroom with that mysterious individual. A lot of people speculate that it's Hiyori. We don't know, so we'll see what happens there. But Oda is definitely teasing Kaido's hybrid form because he took 4 chapters away from that. So this hybrid form is going to be special, guys, once it gets revealed, because Oda he's holding off on that. But that's pretty much it for this video, guys. Comment down below what you guys think. I would appreciate it if you drop a like on this video. Definitely helps me to push out more content, and subscribe for more One Piece content on this channel. It is Pharaoh, and I will see you folks later. Peace.